Hello, Haiku here for another historic Pauper deck tech. This time I'm going to be playing Storm, and the big reason why is Wrenn's Resolve. I ranked this the number 2 card in March of the Machines, but actually I think I was wrong. I think I was number 1. What I think I did when I was comparing Cryptomancer versus Wrenn's Resolve on its effect on the meta, I was thinking that, because Cryptomancer creates a new deck or elevates the hexproof deck to tier 1. And then I was really only thinking of Wrenn's Resolve effect on like the decks I had played recently, which was basically Rakdos, which it's very good in. And so that's why I ranked it number 2. But what I didn't realize is that, or I didn't think about enough, is that it also upgrades Storm, it upgrades Kiln Fiend, and it upgrades Mono Red or Red Black Burn. So all of those decks get to play with anywhere from 5 to 8 copies of Reckless Impulse. So that makes them very consistent and very resistant to disruption from counterspells or from discard. So I think all of those decks are going to be very strong. And I was thinking about how to beat those decks. Or the unfortunate part is there's no real good counters for sorceries other than I was thinking that Spell Pierce could kind of work against Reckless Impulse because most times when you cast Reckless Impulse, you're trying to not drop your land before you cast it. So the Spell Pierce counters even up to turn 4. But I just didn't like, basically it was like ninjas could play Spell Pierce and take advantage of that tempo because eventually Spell Pierce becomes dead. But I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out decks that work well against decks that are going to be playing 8 Impulse. But the sheer variety of decks, like I said, Rakdos Burn, Rakdos Synth, Red Burn, Mono Red Burn, Kiln Fiend, Storm, it's just too much for a deck trying to answer decks that use this plan. And so I just basically, it was like, if you can't beat them, try to join them. So thinking about the 8 Impulse decks is what I'll call them. Which one is going to be the best against each other? I think Storm is going to be lined up better. It could be potentially Kiln Fiend. I only have 3 Fire Prophecies as an answer in the whole deck to a resolved Kiln Fiend. So Kiln Fiend may be the answer that you want to go with, but I feel like post board Kiln Fiend against many decks has issues because that's why I side up to the full. Let's see, this is going to be 6 kill spells for the Kiln Fiend, or for the other ones that only get +2 power. So I decided to go with this. I hadn't played Storm for my channel yet, and I'm not very experienced with Storm. Don't tend to like linear strategies that much, but I think the 8 Impulse makes this kind of deck where you want to be. And at heart, I'm a Spike. I do like a little bit of combo Johnny kind of things, but at heart, I want to just win. And so I think this is going to be the best deck. Now, saying that, I was looking at, because it is open deck lists on who's registering, and no one is really bringing the 8 Impulse to the tournament today. It's going to be Swiss tournament, which is nice because I get to play against a variety of decks. And so Storm, I'm still going to bring Storm, even though I think if I just played Mono Red or Kiln Fiend, I could eat up those decks that are getting registered. Because I want to stick to my plan so level 1 is play 8 Impulse in Mono Red or Kiln Fiend, and then level 2 is okay, what deck beats those 2 very powerful, very fast decks. And I think this is the deck. and I think it's fine against the other decks. It's basically the scariest card for this deck is Dispel, because it really needs to resolve first day of class. Because making a bunch of 1/1 tokens, you don't ever get to that much storm, so you can't really make that many. And so the difference between them not having haste and being 1/1s that can be wrathed by a lot of one toughness sweepers, versus getting up to 2, being able to crack that turn and still having the 2/2s around for the next turn. So generally this deck, you can't play enough spells on a single turn to Chatterstorm for the win. Generally it's you Chatterstorm, attack in, and then attack in the next turn. There is the other way that you can get to enough storm in quotes is first day of class for Pest Summoning into Chatterstorm. And Pest Summoning basically pseudo adds 3 storm just by itself, because you get the 2 tokens and then the spell itself adds 1 to the storm. So that's a nice thing. Another thing to keep in mind in the deck is a lot of times you hold the Mancers until the turn that you're going to go off, so they don't die to removal. So there's a lot of tension where do you want a first day of class before you play the Mancer to give the Mancer haste and a +1/+1 counter. Sometimes that's relevant, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's more better to save the mana by playing the first day of class afterwards. So sometimes the play pattern is drop one of the Mancers, drop a sorcery speed, the opponent goes to remove it, then you play an instant speed first day of class to get the mana advantage, and then you land your Chatterstorm at normal cost at that point, but you've gotten 1 more storm from them using their removal spell or counter spell. So answers to that basically is Dispel. I'm only playing 2 because again, no one is bringing Kiln Fiend, but I feel like that's a super scary fast deck that can outrace this deck's plan, and so that's why I'm playing 6 removal spells for Kiln Fiend. Another plan that I had was I thought Serpentine Curve was a reasonable alternate strategy. So if it gets to the point where the opponent is mind rotting you, duressing you enough that it's hard to develop a storm count, which this deck works really well because impulsing into cards avoids the mind rot effect. So it actually plays very, very well against mind rot effects. But if you're having a lot of trouble with countering it, I figure late game you can drop a big Serpentine Curve. Probably they sided out all their removal for their big creature removal, and you can ride a 20-20 or a 10-10 to 2 hits to victory. The other so Cyber Cryptomancer makes hexproof a thing, and there's a couple people who registered hexproof decks. So my plan was to play a main deck. You line up the shot. Basically, you just need to disenchant their lifelink is the biggest thing, because then you can race them. So I have another one in the board and an Annul. I think you probably just want to end up with more just the shots, but I just wanted to try to see how I felt about having Annul versus line up the shot. This card works really, really well with the impulsing. It's not a cycle, so cycle. There's the other cycle card. Let me see. Cycle. Destroy enchant. So that card is if you hit it off of the cycling. I always mess up this wilt. So this one, if you hit it off of the impulses, you have to play it. You can't draw the card. So that's why I like you line up the shot over wilt. And then this also works well against the plan of the black decks that want to play the curse on you to try to punish you for storming off. Again, you're not storming off for 20 tokens, so it doesn't really affect the deck that much. Yeah, so this is what I'm bringing today.